Hey everybody, welcome to tonight's rap session. My shows are very short, they're quick and straight to the point. I invite you all to put any input, some things you want to talk about down in the description box, or excuse me, in the comment section, and we can talk about that. But what I want to say tonight is that I want people to know why I talk about the same basic three things over and over again. Those three things, I talk about wellness, I talk about equality, and I talk about public safety. Why? Because they're all interconnected. And the part of the reason for me talking about it over and over is basically the same reason why my parents talk to me about different things every single day. It takes repetition. It takes time for people to get something and turn it into a habit. It takes 28 days for a person to do something by habit. So what first thing is, I just want to talk about the breaking news tonight in Georgetown, and that is the face mask ordinance that's going to start in just a few minutes here at 12 o'clock. And so I want to share something with you, and that's actually on a news station about the Georgetown County face mask ordinance here. So hopefully you can see it. And what I need to do is actually scroll up here to the top. It says Georgetown County Council passes an emergency ordinance that requires people to wear face masks in certain businesses. The vote was 6-1 in favor of the ordinance, and it will go in effect tonight at 12 o'clock. The only person that was against it was Raymond Newton, the only one to vote no. And the ordinance requires that everybody above 10, and there are a few exclusions that you don't have to wear the mask. And so this is one thing I want to show folks. This is actually the actual document here. Okay. Let me know if you can't see this. This is the actual document here. You know what? Let me change up a little bit so you can see this thing better. Let's do the full screen. All right. So here we go. This is the whole ordinance so that you can see exactly what it is, because I've read some other articles. You got to be really careful with articles, because some of those articles can be kind of one-sided. So here it has the exact ordinance. And the first thing I noticed was that it says that whereas the COVID-19, a novel, highly contagious and deadly virus, has been declared a pandemic by the World Health Organization. Now, we knew that since day one, really. But anyway, I'm going to scroll down, all the way down. And the last two pages are designated for the exact rules. You'll see some places that said it's $50. It's only $25 if a person doesn't wear it. And then I'm going to show this other one over here to you also. Let's share with you another article that they did, and I think this was done by WBTW, about the face mask. And I'm going to make my point here. I'm going to get to it. I'm about to get to it. I want you to see exactly what some of the city council members had to say about the face mask ordinance. It says City of Georgetown passes face mask ordinance. Notice here on this one, it says failure to comply with the ordinance carries a $50 fine. But when we read the exact article that was written up, it's only $25. And it has some things that people had to say about it. It says, we realize it is an unenforceable ordinance, one council member says. And then Mayor Brendan Barber says he agreed, but brushed off the concerns, saying that the order was a step in the right direction, even if it wasn't the silver bullet. It says, if we have 50 or 70% of the population still wearing masks, then that's more than we have had in the past, which is true. But let me show you this one more thing, and I'm going to show you why it's all in the behavior that this thing, that we have to start establishing good behavior. All right, so we're on something called Worldometer. And this shows the number of cases here in the United States. All right, I'm going to scroll down. And they have this cool little grid here, right? So it basically shows all the cases, the deaths, the active cases, all that kind of stuff in all the 50 states. But let's scroll down here to South Carolina. And this part here is pretty interesting. So it says here in South Carolina, the amount of cases, the amount of deaths, and the amount of people that have recovered. But here's where I'm concerned. You see this bell? We never got out of the first wave. I mean, we're still climbing. It never went up and down like how they said that it would go. So let me go back real quick. So then if you scroll to projections, this is what they're projecting. Hold on. This is what they are projecting in South Carolina. Why do I see South Dakota and not South Carolina? Okay, here we go, South Carolina. Projections. Watch this thing populate, okay? I want you, they're going to show a projection of how many cases and deaths they think is going to happen. So look at this. You got, as of October the 1st, based on the current scenarios, you're going to have 1,368 deaths according to, look, see how the line goes up? And so this is today now, all right, or a couple days ago, July the 1st. The line in red is showing that if they ease up on the mask, and then the green line shows over here if they come down on, if they make people wear the mask. It is starting to flatten the curve. So no matter how people feel about the mask, it does help. It helps other people. It's a sign of respect. You know, it's kind of like, for example, I can remember growing up, we didn't have to wear a seatbelt. But as time as they started enforcing it for people's safety, nobody says, oh, wearing seatbelts is against my religion or anything of that nature. That nobody said anything about that. And the same thing is for the face mask. We're doing a pandemic, a time that we've never, ever seen before. I remember my great-grandmother talking about the flu pandemic when she was growing up and 5 of her friends died. But I mean, still, not many people that I know of experienced the pandemic. And this is a time that we need to pull together. So when I say that it takes time for people to change their behavior, if they had just done what they needed to do in the beginning, then people wouldn't be so resistant and rebellious about moving forward. So when it comes down to behavior, this is why I always talk about the same 3 things, because it has everything to do with the 7 dimensions of wellness. Those are things that keep us all healthy. It's more to it than just our physical body. It's about having balance and wellness in our physical, social, emotional, financial, spiritual, intellectual, and environmental health all at the same time. So whenever you have a system that's not aligned into people's well-being, then you're going to have just exactly what we have right now, which is a hot mess. You know, so when you defund in schools, physical ed, when you take that away or you reduce it, what do you think happens? It causes an imbalance. Let's skip over to emotional. Whenever those things are not addressed, you have imbalance. When I was in high school, we had a class, and granted, it was an elective, but still I took it. We had an accounting class. Do they even teach accounting anymore? I mean, kids graduate now and they don't even know how to balance their banks, and they struggle. So what do we expect to happen as an adult? We have kids that know calculus, all right, and they don't know how to balance their money. All right. Those are things that we need to teach and those are learned behaviors. Spiritual. They took God out of school. Now, granted, I know that in many areas you can't teach God, but my goodness, you can teach children, sit in your desk for a moment just to be silent and just be thankful. Be thankful. And when you can teach a person or anyone, that's not a religion, but it is spiritual to just be thankful for all the things that you do have. Intellectual, environmental. So when you look at a system that's not geared towards people's well-being, and people don't care about their well-being, then you have to enforce mandates like the face mask ordinance, okay, that a lot of people are not going to like. But again, to the seatbelts, we don't even think twice about the seatbelts anymore, because it's when I get in the car now, I don't even think about, oh, it's a law. I think about putting on my seatbelt because I know that it's the safe thing to do in case something happens and I get into a wreck, which I have been in a head-on collision before, and had it not been for the seatbelt, I could have died. My child could have died. And it's the same thing with the face mask. Will it keep everybody from getting it? No. But my goodness, it does reduce the risk for people that are around you. So just know that freedom has a cost. We're the land of the free. People like to say that, but then whenever people get so free that they don't think about their own health in terms of what they eat, what they put into their body, different companies that they allow into the community, and they put out toxins and pollutants into the air, and it affects, again, look at how all the same three topics that I talk about all the time, how it affects these things. Whenever we have the freedom to just do as we want without guidelines, then we have a situation where you have a whole set of people without good leadership that are put at risk because they don't know how to do it themselves. They don't have good behaviors. It takes at least 28 days for a person to build a healthy behaviors. And back to the mask, I've been wearing the mask out when I go to the grocery store so long, I don't even think about it anymore. I just know that the face mask is part of whenever I leave my house in order to protect myself and those that are around me that may be vulnerable. It's our responsibility as a people to take care of one another, no matter what you think. And if you think otherwise, then it just shows a selfish mentality. That whole I'm free and I can do whatever I want. We are free and we can do whatever we want. But then whenever we look out for each other, then all of our needs could be met. Okay. And also the last thing is, I think that people are so busy trying to get back to how it was or get back to normal that they're kind of missing the point. A good friend of mine, Miss Marilyn, she brought up a good point, and she hit it dead on the nail. And she said, people are missing the opportunity that the pandemic has for us. And it's now that things have been thrown out of whack and exposed and revealed a lot of issues in our country, in our world, why not use this time as an opportunity to make it right, to make things better, and not be in such a hurry to get back to normal or how it was? It's not going to be normal. So why not just use this time and opportunity to help each other, to get all our 7 dimensions of wellness together so that our kids can grow up in a space where it's going to be second nature to them to take care of their bodies. It's going to be second nature for them to understand that their finances are important, that being centered in their spirituality, and that the environment and that each other, we are important to one another. So that's why I always talk about the same three things over and over because they're all intertwined, which leads to a nonprofit that I have. It's called Seven Dimensions Outreach. And that outreach is designed to talk to the youth about what we've talked about tonight, is about wellness and having balance and stability in all those areas. And on next rap session, I'm going to introduce y'all to it so that you can see what we're all about and how we're helping our youth, and especially in the mental health and behavioral health spectrum, and how we need to work with our youth. Because unfortunately, I just kind of think for the older folks that just refuse to see that there are a lot of changes that need to be made. Everybody's not going to change. Everybody's not going to even realize that you have a problem. Just like, for example, and I'm going to give you this example and we're going to wrap it up. For example, I was 84 pounds bigger than what I am right now. And it got to a point where when I looked in the mirror, you know, I had confidence. I had a lot of confidence in myself, but then it's like, you know, I'm not too fat. It's okay. You know, it's not that bad. Until one day, I fell flat on my face and I realized that I was sick. You know, I had gotten to a point where in my mind, 84 pounds wasn't that bad. You know, I still look good, but then I really had a problem. I had a health problem. And I think that some people have this issue right now. They walk around and don't even realize they have a problem. They don't realize that they're racist. They don't realize that, you know, they speak hateful words to people, because that's just a learned behavior that they have assumed for a long time. And I think we all need to take a look at ourselves and realize, you know what? I can be wrong. I can do better. Just like I did when I was 84 pounds bigger. And I'm like, you know what? This has to go. I really am overweight. I really am. I am not healthy. So I need to take a look at, we need to take a look at ourselves and try to learn better behaviors. So I appreciate everybody for joining on tonight. Just remember to do your part in Georgetown County tonight, really, 12 a.m., the face mask ordinance goes into place. And just know that right now wearing a face mask is not only it's for public health, but it's to flatten and reduce the spread. And it's a sign of respect toward each other. Thank y'all. Have a good night.
Ain't putting on the place for us. This how all my people feel, but we gotta learn. We complain enough. Let me change it up. Everything I just said, everybody I know think the same way. See, they don't want to see us vote, and we never do, so we see the same thing. But all our votes really do count, and they'll never really let it show. So now I'm finna break it down, cause if I don't, you would probably never know. First thing first, you know back in middle school when they taught us, it was 3 branches of the government. We forgot it when we got older. It's the judicial, the legislative, and executive. Well, all we know is the executive. That's the mayor or the governor and the president. Now, none of those 3 people make no laws. They just be checking it. The laws come to their desk and all they do is say no or yes to it. So when the news station tried to tell us that Barack Obama couldn't put us on, we was all salty at Obama when the Congress members all along. We gotta focus on the legislative branch. Yeah, they the ones that make the laws. Yeah, they the ones write how much food stamp money you get on the call. But when people that wanted to help us wanted the job, I know they probably lost it. Cause we ain't even know their name, we ain't know their face, we ain't know it all. So the Congress or the state house, that's legislative, they make laws. So what we want from the president is what they do. Okay, y'all? See, they election every 2 years, but we don't never even go to those. The Congress, they can raise minimum wage, but we ain't even really know it though. So you know how back in 08, when we all voted for Obama, we was all supposed to go back in 2010 and vote for the Congress. Cause they the ones make child support laws. They the ones choose if your kids at school get to eat steak or corn dogs. The state house make the court calls. So if the country failed, then you can't say it's them, it's your fault. Cause y'all ain't know to vote for Congress members that was for y'all. And we don't gotta leave after 4 years. We just let them sit. See, they don't want to tell you this. They want you to focus on the president. Now, the third branch is the judicial, that's judges. They the reason why John Crawford and Trayvon they had justice. So when Meek Mill got locked up, so Poppin' Willies, we blame the judge and not the city. And they let her get voted in, because they ain't know who to vote against. Imagine life on the other side. Roads better, schools better, everybody get their license back. Grocery store food better, custody of your kids back. Homeless people get new shelters. If we gon' fix the U.S., we gotta start with them 2 letters. Me and you, somebody told us that the government wanna keep us broke, but the only reason why those people in the government is because we ain't vote. And I ain't talking about the president, I'm talking about the ones we ain't know. See, they was gonna try to keep it low, but it's gonna hurt them when they see the pros.
Every time you stay home, someone is making a decision about you, making decisions about the air you breathe, the water you drink, the food your kids eat, and how much money you bring home every 2 weeks. So every time you sit out an election, every time you don't show up because you think it doesn't matter, someone else is happy that you didn't show up, so they can make that decision for you. Vote.